Welcome to the relationship revolution at Tribehouse. Tribehouse is the world's first fully integrated system for tribe construction and implementation. With millions of lifestyles, professional, company, student, and voter tribes in the world, Tribehouse figured it was time for an organization to build serious solutions for tribes and their leaders. And that's exactly why CEO and founder Jared Stewart founded Tribehouse, which combines online platforms with face-to-face interactions between individuals with similar interests. Social media and the rapid technological strides made in recent years have made it easier for people to stay in contact. But that wasn't enough for success in this tech age. In this insider exclusive network TV special, we go behind the headlines in Tribehouse in Restart, Utah, to meet with Steve Sumsion, CEO and founder of Sumsion Business Law. At Tribehouse, they're on a mission to transform the world by creating deeply connected and perfectly aligned tribes for the modern age, and to provide those tribes with the best technology, tools, and events on the planet. This is the Insider Exclusive, live from Utah. It is my great pleasure to introduce Steve Sumsion to the show and Sarah Waugh, the COO of Tribehouse. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Steve, tell us your relationship in Tribehouse. What is Tribehouse, by the way?
Well, Tribehouse is an opportunity for professionals to meet together and become acquainted and develop a business relationship.
So they become members in a group. Is that right? And that membership entitles them to what?
Members come together at least once a month and go to various events where Tribehouse facilitates a very meaningful relationship building process that grows over time, and you develop relationships of trust with peers of different professional backgrounds.
So let's use an example. You mentioned before the show there's an event coming up soon, 2 or 3 day event, right? Everybody goes to a retreat, for lack of a better term, right? And you have a schedule. People speak, correct? Is that right? And you introduce yourselves to each other. You're a lawyer, you're a business lawyer. So you let everybody know that, you can handle specific things like contracts and legal representation, et cetera. Is that how it works?
Patents, intellectual property, like Stacey Johansen, who we have filed a patent on her behalf as an inventor.
So Sarah, tell us about how a person becomes a member in Tribehouse and what the limitations are and what the benefits are.
Tribehouse is for executive networking, and so we've got different tribes. The tribe that Steve belongs to is called Tribex. It's for executives. You either have to be an owner or a senior executive inside the company, a leader. So there's that. Then we have other tribes for other different kind of professional titles. So if you're the CMO, you can join the CMO tribe. The CFO, a CFO tribe. We have HR, we have event executives. All different kinds of executives, but to be part of Tribex, it's to be an owner. And it's our premium tribe. It's our tribe that we meet once a month. We take on retreats twice a year.
Okay, do you advise, let's say I am a CFO, right, and I join the CFO club or the tribe, which I understand you do have a tribe for that, right? Does a member say, I'm having a problem, at my company regarding this? What's your advice? Is that some of the advice and mentoring you get in Tribehouse?
Yes, they have they'll take a chance to talk about themselves, get to know each other personally, and then everyone gets to bring a question, and then they get to everybody else's feedback and from them speaking from their experience. That's the beautiful part of what we do, is that we turn the spotlight away from us on the stage to each other, and we let other people mentor each other and bring their own experiences and background to coach each other.
Right. What makes Tribehouse networking unique amongst organizations like this?
I think the biggest unique component that it has is that it is our culture. So we set some really specific ground rules for all of the events that we have, and we talk to people about being authentic. They really are supposed to talk about their real problems. It's a safe environment for that. We talk to them about being respectful, and we actually give everybody a certain amount of time. And that's their time that they get to use, so that people aren't dominating the conversation. And we actually ask people to be personal, to lead out with being themselves, and not, this is my business, this is what I do. A lot of networking is, here's my card, this is what I do, call me sometime. Instead of, this is who I am, here's a story that you can remember about me, and then this is what I do, because people care a lot more about what you do when they know you.
How long has Tribehouse been around?
In all of its iterations, 20 years. It started out as Corporate Alliance, and then that spun off and we went into the professional space. And then just recently we brought back Corporate Alliance. And so it's been 20 years.
Do you have, like, for example, when you're talking about businesses, do you have like somebody in commercial real estate where they help, some of the other businesses find the kind of space they're looking for to rent?
Yes.
So it's really like kind of like a big family, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really actually amazing how people can help each other. Sometimes they help each other with business. Sometimes they help each other with vendors. Sometimes they help each other with employees. Sometimes they help each other with just feedback and advice on what to do with a particular situation. So I like that it's not just, I'm doing business with you, you're doing business with me. It's holistic.
What does a membership cost?
It depends on the level. It's $6.99 for Tribex, and then it's $2.99 for a month. $6.99 a month, and then $2.99 for a level that's just, they meet here once a month and do a networking group, and they've got a part on our online platform.
I had read that there was some like proprietary software or databases you can access. What are they?
It's our Tribehouse software. So anyone who is part of the tribe gets to come on. There's a directory of all the members, and it goes into a happiness profile. It doesn't just talk about their business, but you get to know them. It has a picture of them. We have articles from members that talk about them and their stories. We have places for forums. There's also it's gamified, so there's an auction. So anytime you make a comment or you read something, you get coins, and you can use that to bid on auction items, which are fun. That just kind of adds some fun to it. We recently started something called the directory, and in that you can actually go, the marketplace, sorry. We recently started something called the marketplace, and that is like an executive listing where you can go in by industry and see all the people that you could possibly help. We're more of a business-to-business group. So it's, as a business-to-business leader, sometimes you have different needs. And instead of Googling it, you can go in and see people who are part of Tribehouse who've been vetted.
And get access to them right away.
Yes. And call the leader.
So when you call up and say, hey, I'm a Tribehouse member, do you have a moment?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's pretty good. Sometimes you need that kind of advice.
Yes. And sometimes you don't want to go through the chain of command trying to get to the person that you really need to talk to.
Now, I understand that in the immediate future, you're looking to roll this out as licenses or franchises, and that's where you come into?
That's correct. Territorial licenses. Could be a franchise concept, but territorial licenses would allow Tribehouse to take their intellectual property that not only includes trademark, but also the software that facilitates these discussions in a very effective way that makes Tribehouse unique.
Is this are you putting together like a franchise?
Circular, like that would be one option, but we're evaluating that against a territorial exclusive license versus a franchise.
Okay, and right now, Tribehouse is in Utah only. And How many locations do you have?
Just this one location.
This is one. This is the only one.
This is the prototype.
How does Tribehouse make money?
We make it a couple of different ways. One is obviously the membership. Another is we have offices in our event space. We have people to be part of the other professional tribes, the ones that meet 4 times a year, which is the CMO, the CFO. It doesn't cost the members to be part of that, but we have 5 sponsors, and they are not, you have to be a CMO to join the CMO tribe unless you're a sponsor, if that makes sense. So they want to build those relationships with that particular
Sponsor doesn't necessarily have to be a member.
They do not have to be, they can be a member of the CMO tribe without being a CMO. Does that make sense? Or they can be part of the HR tribe without being an HR executive. Otherwise, you're not allowed to join that tribe. You actually have to be currently working in that position.
Yeah, interesting word that you selected, tribe, rather than group or whatever. Why did you select tribe?
Tribe's one of the oldest words in the languages of time. There's the 10 tribes of Israel. There's Indo-European tribes, and it has more of a closely. They usually have a common culture and interaction with each other. So that's what we try to create at Tribehouse, is that culture. It's a different kind of culture. It doesn't feel like a networking event. You're not going in with that, what can you do for me? How can I get as many people as possible? You're there to create connections, real connections.
How many members do you have right now?
We're just over 1,000.
Talk to us about Restart Utah. We're in a pandemic. The economy has to get back to survive, back into action. How is Tribehouse contributing to that? What are you doing?
Restart Utah is going to be, it's a kind of a trade show, but it's a closed trade show, if that makes sense. So everybody will have their booths, but then people from the booths will go to each booth, so that every single person, they'll get a chance to interact with every single person from every other company.
Where's it going to be? Here?
You pay to come to it. It's more of a conference than a trade show in that sense. We're not just going to have people wandering through.
Now, you and your brother, Jared, wrote a book called Tribalry. Talk to us about the book.
So the book happened, I was actually a 7th grade English teacher living down in Arizona, and Jared called me and he said, I've been doing trainings to help people learn how to interact with each other, and I want to put it into a book so that people can, if they miss the training, they could get all of our culture. And he said, do you think you could write a business book? And I said, I don't know, I've never read a business book before. So he gave me a couple of business parables to read. Who Moved My Cheese, 1 Minute Manager. I'm like, well, yeah, I can write that. It's not Shakespeare. So we actually worked on it together. And it's really, my biggest goal with it was for it to be engaging and fun to read, because I'm a literature English background. Jared's really a great writer too. So it's very, it's a little bit like A Christmas Carol. So when you go into it, it's a guy he's not doing relationships correctly as far as really building strong ones. And he goes through this whole experience. People are a little surprised when they read it. They like it. A lot of people love that book, but it teaches principles in a way that you're going to remember them instead of it just being straight on nonfiction.
Mm-hmm. Now, Steve, your law firm is one of the few law firms in Tribehouse, right? And what type of services do you offer all of the members of Tribehouse?
We're a full-service business law firm. We provide transactional services, intellectual property, trademark, patent, copyright, all types of dispute resolution, whether it's arbitration, litigation, mediation, any form of dispute resolution. But we are a full-service business law firm that these members of Tribehouse, like Stacey Johansen needing help with a patent. We have been able to benefit greatly from developing the relationship of trust in these events that make it very meaningful to build a business relationship with these members.
Right. Now, Sarah, there are different rooms in this building.
Well, this room is called The Forge, and it is a executive lounge. So anybody who's a member of Tribex, or actually one of our professional tribes, can come here, take a seat, meet with a client, take some time off, whatever they need to do. There's business services and snacks and things like that. So that's available. We also have people who have offices here. So Steve has an office. So we have some offices and also booths that are sponsored. So people often are here meeting with clients. That's what probably primary that they're using, or they're having business meetings. So we have that. And then across the way, there's something called the Foundry, and that's our event center. And that we work with a partner. We have a partner that's going to be doing the Foundry, that is doing the Foundry. And we have our big events in there, round tables, microphones, but they actually do other kinds of events as well. People can just rent the area. Across from them is Purify, which I love that we have that right there.
It's a spa, right?
It's a wellness center. So it has massage, and it has yoga, and it has hot and cold yoga. It's got an amazing salt cave. I really love the salt cave there. Just tons of salt and beautiful environment. We actually hold some of our connecting events in the salt cave because it's so sanitary, and everything dies in there with the salt.
So you're on national TV. It's going to be seen here in Utah. What do you want Utahns to know about Tribehouse and why they should contact you and how they could become members?
It's a transformational experience. So much of what we have today is, so many of the problems we have today happen because of the loss of connection. Like, people are more connected than ever, and they have less friends, and they're more lonely, and they feel more isolated. And the pandemic has just completely blown that up, so it's even more obvious. But I think that this has been happening for a long time. And the feeling that people walk away with, that's my favorite part of our events, is at the end, there's this sound that happens, and people are like this, and they're talking to each other, and they're having this real human connecting experience. I didn't think it could happen over Zoom. I completely would have said that's not even possible, but I've seen it happen again there. And it's more how we do it and how we get out of people's way, and we allow them to give them a structure where they are able to have their human need for connection met in a business environment that helps them to grow their business as well.
Well, I want to thank you for being on the show. We're going to get this message out and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I understand, Steve, we have one of the members of Tribehouse here right now, one of these entrepreneurs that has a great new product, and we want to bring her on right now. Her name is Stacey Johansen. Let's bring her on. It's my great pleasure to introduce Stacey Johansen to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank
Stacey.
you. Thank you for having me.
Tell our audience a little bit about your product. What is it?
So about a year ago, I discovered that I'm a boater. I love being out in the outdoors. I love the water, grew up in them. But I figured there wasn't a life jacket that fit women. They were very uncomfortable. They were tight, where the buckle was in wrong places. And I got to thinking it would be really cool if there was a life jacket that was fun, that was functional, sexy, made you feel good when you're on the boat. And I started just drawing and putting together some sketches and had this idea in my head, and didn't really go forward with anything because I thought, how am I going to make this happen? And I was at a Tribe event, and I met Steve. And we had dinner one night, and I was telling him my next great idea. Wouldn't it be cool if? And he loved the idea. And I was like, oh, this could really take off. And so after a few meetings that Steve and I had, I made a prototype, and I decided I didn't want to have a factory, didn't want to have a business, didn't want to have all the odds and ends. I've owned a company since I was in my early 20s, and I didn't want to go down that road. And so what I decided was that it'd be much easier to go with a name brand that already has the market share, already has, the name and things like that. And so I actually reached out to Body Glove. I reached out to the president of Body Glove and told him my idea, and he was interested. I flew out to Los Angeles and met with him and his designers and presented the idea. I made a prototype with my little homemade sewing machine, and came up with the idea and shared it with them, and they loved it. And so we're in the process right now of making that come to fruition and bringing that to the market. And with meeting Steve, I was able to take it to the next level, to have the protection with my patents and to have some direction on where to go and how to present it.
So that's what I was going to ask next. Did you meet with Steve prior to meeting with Body Glove?
I was, I've been burnt on some other business deals, and I was really nervous I knew that I had something because the people I talked to were like, this is a great idea.
So when you went in there first, I would assume that you had to have them sign a non-circumvention agreement?
Right, a non-disclosure agreement. Yeah, exactly.
And they signed it willingly.
And they signed it. Yeah, they kind of laughed about it. They said, "Oh, we don't even have attorneys here on site. We're just a laid back, kick back office," which is great. But you still need to have that protection. And, I went in with Steve on that. And the very initial phone call was with Steve. So he knew, like, I meant business. I was serious. I had somebody backing me that understood law and understood, my rights. And we did all of our legwork beforehand to make sure the patent was already filed.
Okay, and the patent has been filed. It takes time to get it approved, doesn't it?
We start with what's called a provisional patent.
And that protects you fully.
It's for a year, and then you have a utility patent that is filed within a year to provide the long-term protection, the 20-year protection.
When is the big launch date?
Well, I got them back everything they asked for on the designing aspect of it. They're taking it to their factories to fine-tune it, to put the right amount of foam in it and the correct buckles that are Coast Guard approved. And so within the next 30 days, we'll have something back. And then that's when I think Steve's really going to have to go to work on negotiating what that looks like for royalties, for buying the ideas, buying the patents, the rights to it.
In cases like this, Steve, she's the designer, basically, came up with the idea. Is she going to be paid for designing it plus royalties or what?
Well, the royalties is the base. So typically we structure an advance royalty, a sum of money in advance that then as product is sold, then it will there'll be a credit against that advance royalty to reward the patent owner, and so that the decision can be made to turn it over to Body Glove as the one to be able to commercialize that patent. And so that rather than that advance royalty becomes significant, it's almost like a deposit or a retainer, a substantive amount to say, we're committed to bringing this to practice. Because the last thing we want to do is give a royalty agreement to someone who says, well, I didn't make any money on your patent, so I don't owe you anything.
Right. Well, and I'll bring up another industry, in the book industry. The reason that most books today are published by Amazon, and they have imprints, like Thomas and Mercer that market them, is because not only can you control your patent, like for example with Body Glove, you can give it to them, but what if they don't put a lot of marketing behind it? What if it doesn't go anywhere? You see? You should be able to have the right to buy the rights back, right? It's same in the book publishing industry, the rights to buy it back. There are very successful writers, and I'll give you a good example. Dean Koontz, who is a horror writer, along the same success lines as Stephen King. His books didn't sell in the beginning, okay? So he went back and he bought all the rights back, and I'm sure there's North American rights, there's world rights, right, that are involved with this. He bought them back, and now he sells packages of his books, and he's probably worth close to $400 million right now. But I've seen that in that industry, and I'm sure you have it in there, because it's a wonderful name to have, right. But obviously you want to have them really put their best effort forward, right?
Each year we typically structure a minimum royalty that must be paid, or certain sales revenues must be generated. Otherwise, it reverts back to Stacey.
That's great. That's exciting.
That's why I have Steve on board, because he knows all the ins and outs on how to make it right.
Nobody wants to be known as a one product person.
Right.
Okay. So what is coming up?
So I actually have 3 other designs for life jackets.
All life jackets.
All life jackets right now for women. I do have another idea that I haven't even told you yet. I'm always coming up with ideas. It's just kind of the way my brain works, but it's has to do with the massage and spa industry. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, my brain's always working on new ideas and new inventions. And being an entrepreneur since I was in my early 20s, it's always find what the market needs, find what's not there, solve that problem. And that was a huge problem that I saw with life jackets with my friends and myself.
You're all complaining about the same thing. They're too tight.
Well, they're too tight, but they're ugly, and it's very uncomfortable when it's your turn to get out on the water.
Are they different colors?
All different colors. I've got some really cute details, some lace I'd like to incorporate into it, make them more sexy but classy, but still something somebody wants to put on. Nobody wants the cruise ship orange life jacket you snap on. There's just nothing fun, nothing cool, nothing sexy about that. And so, one of the most vulnerable points is a woman in her swimsuit. It's her turn to jump in the water. All eyes are on her. She doesn't want to put on this ugly life jacket that she's got to twist and adjust and make it work. And as soon as she jumps in, it goes up over her ears. I've solved that problem. So I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a really huge seller for the industry. It's going to change the market for women, and that's really what I set out to do, is to make sure women feel positive in their bodies and in their life jackets and when they're having a good time. And I think it's a really good opportunity.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And we wish you a lot of success.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. You can get more information about our guest and the issues at insiderexclusive.com.